Back in the heyday of meme stocks, it felt like something truly seismic was happening. Wall Street was on the ropes, and retail investors were finally in the spotlight. For once, it wasn't about hedge funds or institutional money, it was about regular people, banding together on Reddit, Twitter, and YouTube, trying to flip the script. That era gave us unforgettable headlines: GameStop defying short sellers, AMC becoming a movement, and entire subreddits turning into war rooms. But for every GME or AMC, there were dozens of others that looked promising, and ended up in the meme stock graveyard. Today's video is a reflection. I'll look back at some of those fallen plays, not to mock them, but to learn from them. Because I was there too. I made videos about some of them. I even put my own money into a few. And I'm going to share how that turned out, and what I wish I had seen sooner. Let's start with BBIG, Ivinco Ventures. This one was everywhere for a while. It had buzzwords, it had momentum, and it had a killer story. A TikTok competitor threw Lomotif, a media spin-off in the form of Cryptyde, and perhaps most seductively, a stock dividend tied to the spin-off. That dividend was sold as a way to give retail a win, like getting in on the ground floor of a company before Wall Street even noticed it existed. I bought in. I covered it. And I wasn't the only one. Thousands of retail investors were drawn in by the same narrative. We were promised synergy, tech disruption, and a revolutionary shift in content ownership and creation. But what followed was a masterclass in red flags. First came the delays. Then came the dilution. Then came the total breakdown in communication. Quarterly filings were late. Executive turnover started ramping up. The Cryptyde dividend, once hyped as a reward for loyal shareholders, ended up being confusing, poorly executed, and ultimately worthless. It did more to trap people in positions than to deliver value. Eventually, BBIG entered receivership, lost its Nasdaq listing, and basically vanished from the retail spotlight. And I exited my position with about a 50% haircut. Now, let's talk about MULN, Mullen Automotive. Another stock I personally held. Another story that looked shiny from the outside. American EV startup. Flashy prototypes. Supposed battery tech that could change the game. Government contracts, pilot programs, factory tours, the kind of stuff you wanted to believe in. But like BBIG, Mullen followed a script that's become all too familiar. Hype-based press releases. Endless equity raises. Shareholder dilution at massive scale. Reverse splits to stay listed. Retail hope slowly turning into resignation. I held MULN, created content on it, watched it spike on announcements, and then watched it sink as each announcement failed to translate into meaningful revenue or production. By the time I sold, I was down around 50%, just like with BBIG. And the most painful part? I wasn't alone. These weren't just my losses. They were shared across tens of thousands of retail portfolios. And not just in BBIG or MULN. Let's look at a few more names that found themselves in the graveyard. CEI, Camber Energy. Once billed as a clean energy comeback story, CEI surged on social media-driven hype. But beneath the surface, it was all the same: overpromised deals, unexplained filings, reverse mergers that went nowhere, and ultimately, a price chart that looks like a ski slope. TRKA, TRKA Media. For a brief moment, TRKA was the next big squeeze. The setup looked great: low float, high short interest, media assets. But what followed was a now familiar sequence: questionable leadership, dilution, and a complete disconnect between narrative and reality. GNS, Genius Group. This one gets special mention for theatrics. The CEO took to social media and national interviews to blast short sellers, claiming the company was under attack. The crowd rallied. But the company never delivered the financial turnaround it needed, and the stock remains deep underwater. AITX, Artificial Intelligence Technology Solutions. This is your classic speculative penny stock. Big ambition, barely any revenue, and a product that always seems to be just about to take off. It's still alive, but it's more of a story than a stock at this point. And the company survives by doing what all these names did, issuing more and more shares. So what did I learn? Here are the patterns I now recognize. Dilution is not just a financing tool. When a company is constantly raising money without showing profit, dilution becomes the business model. Reverse splits are red flags. They're not about growth. They are about compliance. Buzzwords don't build companies. NFTs, EVs, AI, blockchain, if there's no clear revenue model, it's probably hype. If insiders aren't buying, and the CEO only tweets but doesn't deliver, that's your signal. It's easy to see these in hindsight. But when you're in the middle of the hype, it's hard to step back. That's why this video exists. Not to dunk on anyone. Not to say, I told you so. But to say, I was there too. I believe the stories. I created the content. And I learned the hard way. So if you're in a stock right now that sounds a little too good to be true, take a breath. Look at the filings. Look at the cap table. Look at the dilution history. Because if it walks like a BBIG and talks like a MULN, it might be headed for the same place. Thanks for watching. Drop your own meme stock or story in the comments. And if you're still holding out hope for one of these names, I wish you luck and a good exit strategy. I'll see you in the next one.